CJ Stroud. This is his tail of the tape. We are breaking down everything that you guys need to know about the Buckeyes quarterback. He will be on the field today having his pro day throwing session, so I figured this video was very timely. We are breaking down his entire game, so you guys know what to do with him in 2023 Dynasty rookie drafts. You know what to do with him if you're doing a startup draft like we are in our listener league right now. Let me know which prospect you want to see next. We've already done Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and Bijan Robinson. I'm probably going to do his teammate Jackson Smith-Njigba as the next prospect, but let me know if you want me to do somebody else. Like the video if you guys enjoy. If you feel like you got some value at any point, subscribe to the channel. If this is the first time checking out the Fantasy Stock Exchange, I promise you, you will not need to go anywhere else for your Dynasty rookie prep and for redraft and best ball, all that good stuff in the future. But let's get right into it. All right, CJ Stroud, quarterback of the Ohio State Buckeyes. This is his tail of the tape. Age 21.3 years old as it currently stands. 6'3", 214 pounds, a true junior coming out of Ohio State. CJ Stroud was a four-star recruit from the 2020 recruiting class. He was the number 2 pocket passing quarterback in the country from Rancho Cucamonga, California. After sitting behind Justin Fields as a true freshman, he took the reins in 2021 and ran with it, right? He posted a 44-6 touchdown to interception ratio as a true sophomore, first-year starter, 79% adjusted completion percentage, which is a ludicrous number, and a top 4 PFF passing grade in the country at 91.5 as a true sophomore. Then in 2022, he loses some key contributors with Garrett Wilson off to the NFL, with Chris Olave off to the NFL, and basically no Jackson Smith-Njigba the entire year because he was injured and just played with 5 catches on the entire season. But it didn't really matter because he still had some great options with Marvin Harrison Jr. on his breakout campaign, Emeka Egbuka, probably 2 first-round receivers in 2024, en route to 41-6 touchdown interception ratio, with nearly 4,000 passing yards as well. CJ Stroud, over the course of his college career, clearly played with some great wide receivers, played with 5 likely first-round wide receivers for 2 years that he started, and a stud running back in Travion Henderson, who will probably be a top 50 NFL draft pick in next year's draft as well. So what we're trying to figure out here was CJ Stroud the product of all the talent around him, or is he actually very talented himself, and was he elevating the play of those other guys? So let's dive right into the 6 fundamental traits of the quarterback position. The first being that he needs to throw with accuracy, right? We like our quarterbacks to be accurate. We don't like them to miss a lot of throws because that doesn't lead to a lot of fantasy points. CJ Stroud shines right off the bat with this trait. He puts the ball where it needs to be almost every single time. I think this is the most accurate quarterback in the 2023 NFL draft. He had all these great wide receivers for sure, but he elevated what those guys were able to do by delivering the ball on time, on target, great ball placement, throwing, under those receivers so that they could run after the catch, throwing back shoulder throws that only they could get. The numbers absolutely love CJ Stroud in this department. His career completion percentage is 68.9%, which is the best in the class by a mile, by like 3 or 4%, and 5% higher than the averages of the current top 12 dynasty quarterbacks that I'm sure many of you guys have on your rosters already. Guys like Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, guys who were great in college, had great numbers in college. CJ Stroud's completion percentage is 5% higher than the averages of those top quarterbacks. His career catchable pass percentage, so the percentage of his passes that were deemed to be catchable by his wide receivers, 82.3%, which is the best in the class, and it's 3% higher than those top 12 quarterbacks averaged in college. And also 73% was his on-target pass percentage. So great ball placement type of throws. 73% was on par with the averages of those top 12 quarterbacks. So it's safe to say that this dude delivers an accurate football. Like I said, he is the most accurate quarterback in the 2023 NFL draft among these top guys. Number 2 is arm talent, right? We love to see our quarterbacks in fantasy deliver some throws that not a lot of quarterbacks can make. Those definitely lead to a lot of high value fantasy points, those downfield throws that give us, a 60-yard bomb touchdown that help us win our weeks. In my opinion, CJ Stroud has the best arm in the entire class. Now, obviously, if Anthony Richardson and Will Levis develop as passers and they fix some of the issues that they currently have, they have better raw arm talent than what CJ Stroud presents. But when we think of the combination of what kind of refinement these prospects already have, I think CJ Stroud has the best arm as it currently stands. He's a very refined, accurate passer. The difficulty of throws that he can make are up there with some of the best quarterbacks that we've seen come out, and consistency to go along with the pure raw arm strength that he has favors Stroud at this moment in time. And that's really where Will Levis and Anthony Richardson struggle, is that consistency, is that refined accuracy. This dude's legit surgical, right? When you watch him throw the ball and you watch him again, probably at his pro day today, you'll see a couple high velocity throws on the screen right now where he's able to read and diagnose defenses very, very easily, throw some opposite hash type of throws. And we'll also see some kind of silly throws that we can see him rolling out of the pocket, a defender in his face, delivering the ball accurately downfield, a throw that Marvin Harrison Jr. nearly comes down with here. And the numbers absolutely back this up as well, because CJ Stroud, while he doesn't have the flashiest arm in the world, he led the class with 56 big-time throws. And we're talking about only a 2-year starter here, top of the class in the entire draft, led the class with 6.4% big-time throw percentage, including a whopping 7% this year and a 10.8% big-time throw percentage in the college football semifinal against the back-to-back national champion Georgia Bulldogs. So we're talking about a dude that did it against high-level competition, was able to put NFL-caliber throws on the field better than any other quarterback in this class. Number 3 fundamental trait that we get into is mobility, and this is the Konami code factor, and unfortunately, this is where CJ Stroud falls short. Career rushing yards of 308 at only 4.3 yards per carry. So this dude did not run a lot. And it doesn't mean he can't run, because he showcased a little bit of that in the Georgia game. And for example, a guy like Patrick Mahomes only gave us 511 rushing yards over the course of his college career, over 2 seasons starting as well. And Patrick Mahomes can scoot a little bit. He's shown us that he can run when it's necessary and he can rush in some touchdowns. And obviously CJ Stroud is not going to give you Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields caliber rushing, but he can pick up a first down. He can be, a red zone rushing option if need be, but that's pretty much it. So that's where he's kind of going to fall short as a prospect. He's not going to bail you out with a bad passing day with 70 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns the way that Anthony Richardson might do at the next level. But I think he's so advanced as a passer, he's so refined as a passer, that he's probably going to come into the NFL ready to go and ready to help probably Carolina, who picks at first overall, where he's slated to potentially be drafted according to Vegas odds right now. And if some of these free agency pieces that they've signed can hit, he's going to be able to deliver the ball with efficiency to those guys, and he's not going to need to be bailed out by rushing statistics. So number 4 fundamental trait is efficiency, right? We want our quarterbacks in the NFL and in fantasy to create positive plays, to limit negative plays, because interceptions and fumbles directly affect us in terms of fantasy points. Basically, what we want to know is, are you an asset to your team, or are you always making bad decisions? And this is where CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are head and shoulders above the rest of the class, because if you just look at the pure responsibility of playing the quarterback position, move the offense, don't turn the ball over, and create some plays on top of it. And Stroud can absolutely do that at a high level. He's going to find the open man. He's extremely savvy at reading coverages, and he has fantastic vision as a passer, and he's rarely going to make bad reads or bad mistakes. As far as the metric goes, it speaks for itself, right? 85-12 touchdown to interception ratio seems pretty good if you ask me. And I know he had these great wide receivers to throw to, but those numbers are absolutely ludicrous. He took just 26 sacks over the course of his entire starting career, 3.0 turnover-worthy play rate, which is 2% lower than the average of the top 12 dynasty quarterbacks right now, and second best in the class behind Bryce Young at 2.2%. So we're talking about a guy that was very, very efficient. PFF passing grades of 89.0 as a junior this year, and then 91.5 as a true sophomore in his 2 seasons. Both were top 8 marks in the entire country. He will be an asset to whatever NFL team drafts him right from the jump. Then we get into playmaking, deep passing, making plays out of structure downfield. This is the big time distinction, in my opinion, between CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, because we saw Bryce Young do this consistently, game in and game out, get outside the pocket, make things happen downfield. We only saw this one time out of CJ Stroud in one game where he was consistently doing this, but it was against the best defense in the country and the closest thing he will see to an NFL defense in the Georgia Bulldogs. So it's crucial that we remember that if he did it once, he can do it again. And it's not something that we have a question mark about, because he's already shown that he can do it. The question is, can he balance the pure passer mentality with the I want to make some plays outside of structure mentality? And I think that's something that he needs to hone during games, and that'll come with experience. But just because he needs to refine his, out of structure ability does not mean he won't make plays downfield. It is not a weakness for him by any means. And in fact, it's one of his greatest strengths, in my opinion, because he beats most of the top dynasty quarterbacks right now, their collegiate numbers, with a 56.5% adjusted deep completion percentage. That was better than Mahomes in college, better than Allen in college, better than Hurts in college, better than pretty much everybody except for Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, and Justin Fields. And those guys all played for great programs like CJ Stroud did as well, which is why those numbers kind of make sense. So regardless, we're looking at a guy that can make plays downfield and can make plays outside of structure, just did not showcase it as much as we would have liked to see him do at Ohio State. And the final fundamental trait that we're going to get into is handling pressure. And this was a slight area of concern for me with CJ Stroud because he posted just a 43.9 passing grade against pressure this season in 2022 with only 5.7 yards per attempt. So he struggled a little bit against pressure this year. In 2021, his numbers were much better as a first-year starter, 65.3 passing grade and 8.2 yards per attempt. So to be honest, I think this was directly influenced by the fact that he did not have his slot receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was his safety blanket as a sophomore, and he didn't really have that guy. He had Marvin Harrison and Ibuka, who are more outside downfield type of wide receivers, but he did not have that safety valve type of option like JSN would have been for him this year. And it kind of further showcases that he will need some talented playmakers at the next level because he is a pocket passer primarily, and a nice short option like Adam Thielen in Carolina, if that's where he goes, can definitely help with that. Hayden Hurst out of the tight end position as well. But I definitely think if I was the Carolina Panthers, I would be prioritizing a slot receiver like Josh Downs or like Zay Flowers or potentially Jordan Addison if he somehow slides there at 39, or if they wanted to trade back into the first round for a guy like that. I think these dudes would all be a perfect fit for CJ Stroud's skill set. And again, I'm making the assumption that he goes to Carolina because he is the betting favorite to go first overall right now. The intangibles, the red flags, personality stuff, I think this is why CJ Stroud is the cleanest prospect at quarterback in this entire draft, because he really does check every box from an intangibles perspective. He doesn't have any red flags. Personality seems to be off the charts as well. He has the size, which Bryce Young does not, at 6'3", 215 pounds. So he checks that box. The on-field stuff is there. Like I said, with all the traits, we've heard nothing but positives about his leadership, about his ability to overcome adversity. If you guys don't know, his dad is serving basically like a 40-year prison sentence right now, and he was nearly homeless for all of high school. So we know that this dude can overcome adversity. You kind of just want to root for a guy with a story like that that's shown up time and time again. And it's probably the exact reason he was able to be fearless in the face of adversity, right? Showing up against a Georgia defense that won back-to-back national championships. They should have won that game. CJ Stroud played well enough to win that game, and his defense, his kicking unit let him down a little bit. It shows what kind of stones the kid has, and I have no question marks about the intangibles of this prospect. He is without a doubt one of the better intangibles that I've seen over my course of grading prospects. And speaking of final grades, let's talk about it here. Based on a scale of 1,100, he graded out as a 948.75 for me, which is a late first round talent for quarterbacks. That means kind of like a top 10 type of talent. He is my quarterback 2 in the class, one of the most secured picks for me in a rookie draft. My pro comparison for him is basically this year's version of Geno Smith. I think that's what he can kind of provide an NFL team: the accuracy, the efficiency, the ability to make plays when necessary, the ability to be smart with the football and not turn the ball over. I do think he does have some untapped upside of becoming, Dak Prescott or potentially even Joe Burrow, which I've seen as a very lofty comp for him, and I don't think it's outrageous at all. For me, I'm going to go with kind of the median projection Geno Smith as my comparison. But I do think, like I said, he has that Dak Prescott, potentially even Joe Burrow type of ceiling if he's able to hit at the next level. In terms of best fits, scheme or team, I do think it's a foregone conclusion that CJ Stroud will be a Carolina Panther. I think that's, the betting favorite right now. It's like minus 200 odds. Schematically, I do think it's a great fit for his ability. I think Frank Reich's system requires an accurate quarterback who can get the ball out on time, quickly, and on target to playmakers. But the only issue with the Carolina Panthers landing spot right now is that without DJ Moore, they're kind of devoid of talent at wide receiver. And the career path that's in the range of outcomes for CJ Stroud is that he has like a Joe Burrow type rookie season, and they're able to add some talent around him as a second-year quarterback, and then he's able to really showcase what he's able to do. But the problem is they don't have their first rounder in 2024, so it's not as simple as saying, hey, if they stink this year, they'll just draft Marvin Harrison and pair them back up next year, because they don't have their first-round pick, and Marvin Harrison is sure as shit not falling to the second round. So they have Adam Thielen, who they just signed to a 3-year deal. They have Terrace Marshall, who's shown some things here and there. They signed Hayden Hurst at tight end. Plus, they signed Miles Sanders out of the backfield. They have something there. There's nothing, concrete. They don't have a number 1 wide receiver necessarily, but they can add a wide receiver at 39. They could trade back into the first round and go after a guy like Jordan Addison if he starts to slide. They could still add another wide receiver at 90. There's a lot of upside for them to be able to, get some wide receiver talent on this roster. They may not be good in 2023, but if Stroud shows big developments, They could also sign a wide receiver in free agency like Jerry Jeudy or, Brandon Ayuk or something if they're free agents this time next year. And who knows, maybe they trade for one of those guys. Maybe they send 39 to the Denver Broncos for Jerry Jeudy and they trade Jerry Jeudy to Carolina. My point is basically that we don't know what will happen with this situation, and I'm not going to let a talented quarterback prospect fall completely out of favor just because his landing spot doesn't look very good to start, because there's a good chance that he's going to show quite a bit as a rookie. They're going to know exactly the type of players that they need to bring to build around CJ Stroud, and they might make a splash, right? They might use their 2025 first rounder and go after a stud wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb or something like that, who the Dallas Cowboys don't want to pay. We have no idea what's going to happen with this situation, and it could be very good by the time CJ Stroud is ready to take the reins. And again, trusting the talent of the player is what I'm going to do. As far as what to do with the guy in rookie drafts, I kind of waffle back and forth almost every day on whether I would take CJ Stroud at 103 or 104, depending on Anthony Richardson. The truth is really that it's completely team dependent, right? Whatever type of team you have, the type of roster that you have is going to influence whether you want CJ Stroud at 103 or whether you want Anthony Richardson at 103. And it also does depend on where Anthony Richardson gets drafted, assuming we say that CJ Stroud goes to the Carolina Panthers. If you're in need of upside for your roster because you already have, let's say, Jalen Hurts and Kirk Cousins in a competitive window, and somehow you have the 103 because you traded away for a non-contender's first rounder like 2 years ago, then you can take the upside swing on Anthony Richardson, right? You have no worries at all because Jalen Hurts and Kirk Cousins are going to anchor your win now contending window. If you're in full tank mode and you've torn it down and you have like 5 first rounders this year and you're staring on the board and Kenny Pickett's your only quarterback and 103 is your first pick after 101 and you take Bijan Robinson, then in my opinion, you should take CJ Stroud, because in terms of startup value, I think he will be more value insulated than a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's a more volatile asset. And speaking of startup value, this is a guy I currently have ranked at 22 right now. This is a guy that I would take at the 2-3 turn in a startup draft that includes rookies. He's a stud quarterback prospect, in my opinion. So at age 21 years old, I would take him over guys like T. Higgins, over JT, over Breece Hall, pretty much any running back not named Bijan Robinson. And Drake London, I would also take him over, because in most of the leagues I play in, quarterbacks go for a hefty nickel, right? So I'm going to take a guy like CJ Stroud, who I know the Dynasty community likes, who I know is going to secure value if he shows anything as a rookie, and could be a top 10 startup pick this time next year if he really shows us a lot of things as a rookie. So I don't think you should overthink this dude in rookie drafts, even if he goes to the Carolina Panthers. Just because it's a rough landing spot doesn't mean it can't improve. And just because he doesn't have an elite Konami code type of ceiling doesn't mean he can't be a high valued Dynasty asset. Value insulation applies to quarterbacks no matter if they're Konami code or not. Just look at Joe Burrow's Dynasty startup value. Just look at Justin Herbert's Dynasty startup value. If CJ Stroud is this type of quarterback, it doesn't matter that he doesn't run that much. He will be insulated as a top 10, top 8 overall startup pick. And in one quarterback leagues, if you guys play in them, I am fine drafting this guy at the tail end of round 1 or the early portion of round 2 if you're in need of a quarterback. So that is CJ Stroud. Again, a little bit of a divisive topic because some people don't think he has a very high ceiling. I kind of outlined why I think he does have a higher ceiling than even I initially anticipated, because I broke down the first time I was watching his film before I watched the Georgia game that I didn't think he was a very high ceiling passer either, but we saw in the Georgia game what we needed to see. So definitely, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the new site, flockfantasy.com, and use the promo code FSE when you sign up to get full access to our rankings, to our bonus content, best ball rankings. If you guys are doing early best ball drafts over there on Underdog, use that promo code FSE over there as well for 100% back on whatever you put in. Check out our other sponsors, Aura and Mint Mobile. Use our links down below in the description to check out those exclusive offers as well. But with that being said, peace out, and we'll talk to you soon.